Hello everyone. Today we are going to understand one of the most important research papers in the history of modern artificial intelligence, which is Attention is All You Need. This paper introduced the transformer architecture, which later became the foundation of models such as BERT, GPT, ChatGPT, and many other modern AI systems. Before we understand how the transformer works, let us first see why this paper became such a major turning point. Before transformers, sequence processing tasks were mainly handled using models such as RNNs and LSTMs. These models were widely used for translation, speech recognition, text generation, and many other language related tasks. Then researchers introduced an idea called attention to help these models focus on the most relevant parts of the input. In 2017, the paper Attention is All You Need took this idea much further and introduced the transformer architecture. After that, transformer based models such as BERT, GPT, and T5 became extremely successful. Today, most modern LLMs are built using transformer ideas. So, the journey can be understood like this. First came RNN, then LSTM, then attention, then transformer, and finally our modern LLMs such as GPT. To understand this journey properly, we must begin with the type of data these models were designed to process. That type of data is called a sequence. A sequence is just a data arranged in a particular order. In a sequence, the order of the items matters. For example, this sentence is a sequence of words: I love machine learning. If we randomly change the order of these words, like I love learning machine, or to something else like machine, I love learning, the meaning may become confusing or completely different. Language is therefore sequential because the meaning of a sentence depends not only on the words used but also on the order in which those words appear. Sequences are just not limited to text, it includes speech, music, video, stock prices, and time series data. Because order is so important in a sequence, researchers needed a neural network that could remember what came earlier while processing what comes next. That led to the RNN. RNN stands for Recurrent Neural Network. The main idea of an RNN is that it processes a sequence one element at a time. In case of language, it processes one word at a time. While processing the current word, the RNN also uses information from the words that came before it. This previous information is stored in something called a hidden state. You can think of the hidden state as the model's temporary memory. At every step, the RNN takes two main inputs: the current word and the previous hidden state. It then produces a new hidden state. So, in very simple terms, current word plus previous memory gives us new memory. That new memory is then passed to the next step. Now that we know an RNN carries memory from one step to the next, let us see exactly how it reads a complete sentence. Consider this sentence: the cat sat on the mat. The RNN first here will process the word the. It creates an initial hidden state containing some information about this word. Next, it processes the word cat. While processing cat, it also uses the hidden state created from the word the. Then it processes sat using the information carried forward from the previous steps. The same process continues for on, then the, and finally mat. Therefore, this sentence is processed step by step. First the, then cat, then sat, then on, then the, and then at the last mat. The important point is that the model cannot jump directly to the last word. It must move through the sequence in order. Its memory is passed forward from one word to the next. This whole step by step movement can still feel a little bit technical, so let me simplify it further for you. Imagine a student reading a very long book, one line at a time. And after reading each line, the student is writing short notes about it in a very small notebook. Now, when the student reads the next line, he uses the notes from the notebook to remember what happened earlier. Here, this small notebook is similar to the hidden state of the RNN, and the student himself is acting as an RNN processing unit. Now, the student cannot read page 50 before reading pages 1 to 49, as he might be not able to get the context of that page. He must move through the book sequentially to understand page 50 as well. The problem here is that small notebook might be having limited space. So, as the student continues reading, he may overwrite old notes or forget important details from the beginning of the book. For short paragraphs, this may not be a serious problem, but for a long document, the notebook may become too small to preserve everything. Now, I think this example helps you understand how an RNN works and where it can struggle. RNNs had several important limitations. The first problem was sequential processing. As we have seen, RNN must process the first word before moving to the second word, and second word must be processed before moving to third word, and so on. So like we cannot actually process the fifth word before processing the first four words. Now, the second problem was slow training. Modern GPUs are very good at performing many calculations simultaneously, but an RNN sequential structure limits how much parallel processing can be used across the sequence. The third problem was memory, that we have already seen, like the important information from the beginning of a long sentence could become weaker or even disappear as it travels through many steps. This is commonly called as the long term dependency problem. So, LSTMs and GRUs were actually created to improve this memory problem, but they actually did not completely remove the sequential nature of processing, and losing information across a long sentence was not the only problem. Older translation systems also tried to compress an entire input sentence into one fixed size representation, so that created another bottleneck. Older machine translation systems often used an encoder decoder architecture. The encoder read the input sentence one word at a time. After reading the entire sentence, it tries to compress the meaning of that sentence into one fixed size vector. This was called a context vector. The decoder then used that single context vector to generate the translated sentence. For a very short sentence, this might work reasonably well, but imagine trying to compress a long paragraph into one small vector. Some details might be lost. This fixed size context vector became an information bottleneck. Researchers therefore needed a way for the decoder to directly access only the relevant parts of the input instead of depending only on one compressed representation. That need led to the introduction of attention. Attention means focusing on the information that is most relevant to the current task. Suppose someone asks you, "What is the capital of France?" You hear all the words in the question, but your brain does not give equal importance to every word. You mainly focus on the words capital and France. These words help you produce the answer Paris. Attention gives a neural network a similar capability. Instead of treating every input word as equally important, the model can calculate which words are more relevant at a particular moment. It can then assign higher importance to those words. However, attention did not originally appear as part of a transformer. It was first used as an improvement to RNN based systems. Before transformers were introduced, attention was added to RNN based encoder decoder models. The encoder was still RNN. The decoder was also still based on recurrence only. But instead of relying on the final context vector, the decoder was allowed to look back at all the encoder's hidden states. For example, while generating one translated word, the decoder could focus on one part of the input sentence. While generating the next translated word, it could focus on another part. This was a major improvement because the model no longer had to store every detail inside one small context vector, which we saw earlier as a problem. And attention reduced this bottleneck. But the main problem was still there, which was words were still getting processed sequentially. This led to one major question, which was, do we need the recurrent network at all? Which then led to the transformer. The researchers asked this simple question, like, what happens if we remove recurrent loops completely? So instead of building a language model around an RNN and adding attention as an extra feature, they made attention only as the main mechanism. The transformer did not depend on recurrence for processing the sequence. So this allowed input tokens to be processed in parallel. It also allowed words to directly connect with other relevant words, even when they were far apart in the sentence. So, that is the main idea behind this paper, which is attention is all you need. Of course, a transformer also contains embeddings, feed forward networks, normalization, and other components, but attention became its main method for sharing information across a sequence. So, once recurrence was removed, words needed another way to understand each other. So, that mechanism is called self attention. Self attention means that every word can look at the other words in the same sequence to understand its own meaning. For example, consider the word bank here in these two sentences. In the first sentence, which is the bank approved my loan, the bank word should pay attention to approved and loan, and then it will understand that it is here referring to a financial institution. In the second sentence, which is, I sat near the bank of the river. Here, the bank should pay attention to words such as river and near, and then it will know that it is referring to the side of a river. Self attention allows the model to create a contextual representation of each word, which means that the representation of a word changes depending on the sentence in which it appears. Let us take another example to simplify it. Consider this sentence here. The cat drank milk because it was thirsty. Now, the word it here is a pronoun, and to understand this whole sentence correctly, the model needs to understand what it refers to. Does it refer to the milk, or is it referring to the cat, or is it referring to something else? So, using self attention, the word it can see its relationship with all the other words in this sentence. The model may calculate that cat is highly relevant to it, so it may assign a high attention score to cat, and it will create a direct contextual connection between it and cat. But now the question is, how does the model calculate these relationships? So, to calculate it, it uses three important components, which are query, key, and value. Self attention uses three vectors called query, key, and value. These are usually written as Q, K, and V. The query here represents what information am I looking for. The key represents what type of information do I contain, and the value represents what actual information should I provide if I am relevant. So you can think of this using a search analogy. Like when you search for something, your search request is just like a query, and each possible result has information that can be matched against your search. So that is similar to a key. And if a result is relevant, you retrieve its actual content. That is similar to the value. So every token in a transformer produces its own query, key, and value vectors. These vectors are learned by the model during training. To understand them properly, let's just apply them to our previous cat example. Let us return to the sentence, which was, the cat drank milk because it was thirsty. Suppose the model is currently processing the word it. The query created from it may represent a question such as, which word identifies the thing that was thirsty? So the model compares this query with the keys of all other words in the sentence. So it will be comparing this query with the key for cat, for drank, for milk, and the keys of other words as well. So the key belonging to cat may produce the strongest match because cat is considered highly relevant. The value of cat contributes strongly to the new contextual representation of the word it. So here what happened is, the query searches, the keys are compared, and the relevant values provide information. Attention works in four simplified stages. First, the query of the current token is compared with the keys of the other tokens. This comparison produces raw similarity scores. Second, those scores are scaled. So, scaling helps keep the numbers under control, especially when the vector dimensions are large. Third, the model applies a function called softmax. This function converts the raw scores into normalized attention weights. A word with a higher weight is considered more relevant. Finally, The model multiplies these weights by the value vectors and combines them. This produces the attention weight. So the process is compare, scale, normalize, and combine. The mathematical formula, which I'll be showing you on the next slide, represents these same four steps. This is the famous scaled dot product attention formula. Attention of Q, K, and V equals softmax of Q multiplied by K transpose divided by the square root of the key dimension and then multiplied by V. At first glance, this formula may look complicated, but the idea is straightforward. Q multiplied by K transpose compares the queries with the keys, dividing by the square root of the key dimension scales the scores. Softmax turns those scores into attention weights, and multiplying by V combines the values according to those weights. In very simple language, the formula means compare the words, find which ones are important, then collect more information from the important words. You do not need to memorize the formula to understand the transformer. The most important thing is to understand what the formula is doing. Let's visualize the same idea. So here on the screen you can see the words cat, drank, milk and it. Now imagine the word it checking its relationship with each of the other words. So here it might be having relatively weak connection with the word drank and with the word milk, and but it has a very strong connection with the word cat. So here we are representing these attention scores using the lines. So a thin line represents a lower attention score and a thicker line represents here a higher attention score. So therefore the line between it and cat is the thickest. So the output representation of it will then contain more information from cat than from the other less relevant words. This is one attention pattern. However, language contains many different types of relationships. A single attention pattern may not be enough. That is why transformers use multi head attention. One attention head may learn one particular type of relationship. For example, one head may learn grammatical relationships, another head may learn the meaning of words in context, a third head may connect pronouns with the nouns they refer to, a fourth head may identify subject object relationships. All these relationships may be present in the same sentence at the same time. So instead of asking one attention mechanism to learn everything, the transformer uses several attention heads in parallel. Each head is creating its own queries, keys, and values, and each head may focus on a different pattern. The outputs of all these heads are then combined. This is called multi head attention. Let me give you an example to understand this. Imagine that four experts are reading the same sentence instead of one. So the first expert focuses only on grammar, the second expert focuses on the general meaning. The third expert checks pronouns and references. And the fourth expert focuses on actions, subjects, and objects. So, all four experts examine the same sentence, but each notices something different. When their observations are combined, we get a richer and more complete understanding. That is similar to multi head attention. So, different attention heads look at the same sequence from different angles. This helps the model capture multiple relations all at once. As we saw earlier, that in transformers, recurrence is completely removed. So it created another important question, which was if the transformer is processing words together instead of sequentially, then how does it know which word came first, which next, and then which next? So consider these two sentences. dog bites man, and another one is man bites dog. Both of these sentences contain almost the same words, but their meanings are very different because the order of the words has changed. So, an RNN naturally understands order because it processes words sequentially. It sees the first word, then the second word, and then the third word. But a transformer processes input tokens in parallel. So, the model would only know which words are present, but it would not automatically know their exact positions. So, therefore, in the transformer, we need a way to represent this order. This is done using positional encoding. Before entering the transformer layers, each token receives two types of information. The first is the token embedding. The embedding represents the meaning and characteristics of the token. The second is positional information. This tells the model where the token appears in the sequence. So the model receives token meaning plus token position. The original transformer paper used sine and cosine functions to generate positional encodings. For now, you do not need to understand those mathematical functions. Just remember this: the embedding tells the model what the word is, and the positional encoding tells the model where the word is. These two pieces of information are combined to create the input representation. We now have the major ingredients, which are embeddings, position information, and self attention. Let us now see how they fit inside the complete transformer architecture. Originally, transformer was created mainly for sequence to sequence tasks such as language translation. It contains two major components, an encoder and a decoder. The encoder reads and understands the input sequence. The decoder generates the output sequence. For example, suppose the input is an English sentence and the required output is a French translation. So the encoder processes the English sentence and creates contextual representations. The decoder uses those representations to generate the French sentence, one token at a time. So the overall flow is input, then encoder, then decoder, and then finally the output. To understand this architecture properly, let us first look inside the encoder. The encoder's job is to read and understand the input sentence. The encoder looks at all the words and tries to understand how they are connected. It is not just one block, it is made of multiple layers stacked on top of each other. And inside each encoder layer, there are two important things. First, we have multi head self attention. This allows every word to look at the other words and collect the useful information. Second, we have feed forward network. Think of this as a small processing unit. After the words exchange information through attention, the feed forward network cleans, improves, and transforms that information. There are also two helper steps called add and normalize. It helps the model stay stable and not lose the original information. So the simple encoder flow is self attention, add and normalize, feed forward network, and then again add and normalize. After this happens again and again across multiple layers, the encoder creates a rich understanding of the input sentence. Once the encoder understands the input, the decoder uses that understanding to generate the output. Just like the encoder, the decoder is also made of multiple layers. But the decoder has one extra responsibility: it must generate words one by one. Inside the decoder layer, there are three important things. First, there is masked self attention. This means the decoder can look at the words it has already generated, but it cannot look at future words. Second, there is encoder decoder attention, which is also called cross attention. This is used when the model has both an input and an output, like a translation. The decoder looks at the encoder's understanding and decides which part of the input is useful for generating the next output word. Third, there is feed forward network. Just like in the encoder, this further processes and improves the information. So the decoder flow is mass self attention, encoder decoder attention, feed forward network. Again, the decoder also uses add and normalize steps similar to encoder to keep training stable. Uh, The important special feature here is masking. While generating the next word, the decoder must not see the words that will come later. Now, let us understand this why it should be like this. Suppose the model is learning to complete this sentence, which is artificial intelligence is changing the. Now, after the future word is must, which means the model needs to predict the next word now. So, during training, the complete correct sentence may already be available in the dataset. Without masking, the model could have simply looked at that future word and copied it, but that would be actually a cheating. So masked self attention blocks the future positions. When predicting a token, the model can only see the tokens that came before it. This thing teaches the model to generate text based on previous context. The same basic idea is used in GPT style models. Now that we have understood both the RNN and the transformer, we can compare them directly. So let's just see and compare the two architectures. So the processing style of RNN is sequential, but a transformer can process input tokens largely in parallel during training. RNN carries information through a hidden state. So the information from a distant word must travel through many intermediate steps. But a transformer shares information using self attention. So the two distant words can directly connect through attention. Training in RNN is generally harder to parallelize. On the other side, transformer training can make much better use of modern GPUs and other parallel hardware. RNN struggles with very long dependencies. On the other hand, transformers are generally better at modeling long distance relationships. However, this does not mean that transformers are always cheaper or perfect. They have their own computational costs. So, before discussing those limitations, let us see the main structural difference. Here you can see in the RNN, information flows from A to B, B to C, then to D, and then finally to E. So for A to influence E, its information must travel through all these intermediate steps. This creates a long path. But in the transformer, A can directly connect with E through attention. Similarly, B can connect with D and C can also connect with any other relevant token. So the path between related words is therefore much shorter. This direct communication is one reason transformers are effective at learning relationships between distant tokens, but these direct connections also comes with a cost. The model may compare many tokens with many other tokens. So while transformers are powerful, they are not perfect. Transformers have several limitations. The first is memory usage. In standard self attention, each token may be compared with every other token. The next is when the sequence becomes longer, the attention matrix will also become larger. So, for a sequence containing n tokens, the standard attention computation grows approximately with n square. So, this is commonly called as quadric attention cost. Now, the next limitation is large transformers often require large amounts of training data, which will require significant computing power. So, training modern language models can be then extremely expensive. And apart from these limitations, transformer can still produce incorrect information. So, self attention helps the model identify relationships, but it does not guarantee factual accuracy, or you can say human like understanding. But despite these limitations, the transformer became extremely influential as different researchers adopted different parts of its architecture to create models like BERT, GPT, and T5. Now, let's just see how the different parts of transformer architecture are being used by different models. So, BERT mainly uses transformer encoder blocks because the encoder can examine context from both the directions. BERT became useful for language understanding tasks such as classification, search, named entity recognition, and question answering. GPT mainly used decoder style transformer blocks. It generates text by predicting the next token based on the tokens that have already came. T5 uses both encoder and a decoder. It treats many language tasks as text to text problems. For example, like text can be translated, it can be summarized or transformed into another form. Since GPT is the model people mostly recognize today, let us just see how it generates text. GPT generates text one token at a time. Suppose we have this input sequence, which is artificial intelligence is. Now the model will examine the previous tokens and will predict a very likely next token. It might predict the word changing. So the new sequence will become artificial intelligence is changing. Again, the model will be using this updated sequence to predict the next token, which can be the, and then again it predicts again. So this process continues one token at a time, and this is called autoregressive generation. The output of one step becomes part of the input for the next step. Even though the model produces one token at a time during generation, transformer training can still process many positions in parallel because masking controls which position each token is allowed to see. Let us now put the entire transformer process together. First, the raw text is divided into tokens. A token may be a word, part of a word, punctuation, or any other small unit of text. Next, each token is converted into an embedding. The embedding is just a numerical representation of that token. Positional information is also added to the embedding so that the model knows where each token appeared in the sequence. These input representations then enter the transformer layers. Self attention allows tokens to collect relevant information from other tokens. Multi head attention captures different types of relationships. Feed forward network further transforms the token representations. After several layers, the model produces output representations which can be used for different tasks. We have now followed the complete journey from raw text to the final prediction. In this video, we followed the complete journey from sequences and RNNs to attention, self attention, and the transformer architecture. Thank you for watching.